Hello guys, welcome to episode 26 of the Switch Indie Fix podcast, a podcast dedicated to everything on a Nintendo Switch. I'm Adam and I'm going to be your single host today as, I decided I wanted to do the podcast alone this week. The date is the 31st of March. It's been a nice warm day here in Vienna, but now it's starting to cloud over a bit and get a bit chilly, and I thought now it's the perfect time to record the podcast on the evening. In this week's podcast, we'll be talking about how you can get a 12-month free Nintendo Online subscription, an indie game returning from the grave, and we'll also be talking about some of the best indie games coming to the Nintendo Switch in April. But before we get into all that, just a gentle reminder, guys, we need your questions. So if you have any Nintendo or indie game related questions and want them read out on the show, head over to switchindiefix.com/SIF podcast and you can ask your questions there. Plus, if you're looking for a fun gaming community to join, why not check out that Switch Indie Fix Discord server? Just head over to switchindiefix.com/Discord to join. So as always, guys, we will start with this week's news, and we've had quite a nice bit of indie news, mostly because it's been PAX East this last week. So we've had a little bit of news coming out of there, and we actually have 4 items on the list this week, and that is half a baker's dozen. So story number 1 is what I kind of mentioned in the intro, is that you can get a year's free Nintendo Switch Online with Twitch Prime. So yes, you heard me right. If you have a Twitch Prime account, one of the rewards until September 24th of 2019 is a free subscription to the Nintendo's online service. All you have to do is look at your Prime Rewards page, find a Nintendo offer, click Learn More, and pay your Nintendo account to your Switch Prime account. This will give you Nintendo Switch Online for 3 months, which will be added to your Nintendo Switch Online account if you already have one. So, I already have a year's account. And you just kind of log in, pay your Nintendo account to your Twitch Prime account. Then it'll say, okay, you can have 3 months now. And then after 60 days, you can do it again, and you get the remaining 9 months of the year subscription, which is really cool. And if you don't know, you may already have a Twitch Prime account. So if you have an Amazon Prime account, so when you're buying off Amazon, if you want a free delivery or you use Amazon Video or Amazon Music or whatever, it also means you have Twitch Prime. So that means you get access to all the Twitch Prime rewards, which are usually pretty awesome, especially if you have a PC. There's always some free PC games in there. There's always some tie-in loot usually to other games like Warframe and Fortnite, and I think Black Ops 4 is on there at the minute, and also Apex Legends, so if you're into those type of games. And it also means you have 1 free subscription a month to give to a streamer of your choice. So yeah, you're basically sat on 1 subscription a month, which I think is worth about $5. You can give that to a streamer of your choice. They get half of it, I think, from Twitch. So if you do have Amazon Prime, make sure you look into Twitch Prime, because you can get a ton of free stuff, including a year's free on Nintendo Switch Online account, which is pretty awesome. It gets you all the cloud saves. It gets you the online gaming service, the Nintendo Entertainment System. So if you or even if you have, make sure you go and redeem that reward before September 24th. I thought that was a kind of an FYI for any of you, and some cool bit of news. The second story on this week's news kind of reel is that Yacht Club reveals Cyber Shadow. So, Shovel Knight devs revealed this week that the next game they are going to publish is Cyber Shadow from developer Mechaskull. The game looks to be heavily inspired by classics like Ninja Gaiden, with its fast-paced run-and-slash-combat and its cool chiptune soundtrack. What's cool, though, is the game seems to be set in a dystopian future. So coming from directly from Yacht Club, they wrote on their website, Cyber Shadow has spent more than a year being polished under our watchful eye, and it's shaping up to be what we believe is the next quintessential ninja action game. So if you're a fan of games like The Messenger and you love these sort of old school Ninja Gaiden games, then Cyber Shadow is definitely a game to watch out for. Like I said, they are publishing it, they didn't make it, they're still working on Shovel Knight, King of Cards, I think, because I reported a few weeks ago that we got a big, quite a lengthy delay, so I'm sure they're still working on that. But I guess they saw something cool in this. The art style is still at 8-bit, very reminiscent of The Messenger, they kind of seem to be going down that route of, okay, we want to take this old game, modernize it, put our own twist on it, and and hopefully sell a lot of copies, kind of like what Yacht Club did with Shovel Knight. So yeah, that's a cool bit of news if you like The Messenger, or if you're a fan of the Ninja Gaiden series. There's no release date as of yet, but I think they put a price on it of $12.49. So yeah, not too expensive if you're looking for something in the future to buy. Talking of in the very near future, our story for number 3 is Panic Button are porting Hob to the Nintendo Switch. So Panic Button are known in the Switch sphere for creating excellent ports of games most people would never dream of seeing on the Switch. They've ported Wolfenstein, Doom and Warframe to the system, and are now bringing Hob the Definitive Edition to the Switch too. What's interesting is that Hob's developers, Rumit Games, ceased to exist in November 2017. However, Panic Button have teamed up with Perfect World Entertainment to bring a version of the game for Nintendo Switch that provides adventurers with brand new ways to unravel the mysteries of Hob, which include added camera controls, improvement to the game's UI, a variety of quality of life improvements, and new features only possible on a Nintendo Switch system, including HD Rumble and touchscreen functionality. And yeah, you won't have to wait long either, because Hob the Definitive Edition will be out on April 4th and cost $19.99, which is currently discounted by 10% if you pre-order it. Yeah, this is really weird because I was actually thinking about this game like maybe a week and a half ago. Because if you don't know the story, the game came out in I think mid 2017 on PlayStation. I think it was just on PlayStation. I'm not sure about Xbox. PlayStation and PC, I think. And it kind of came out and it got okay reviews, 7s and 8s. But it kind of proved to be the last nail in the coffin of Runic Games. I think they kind of created it hoping it was going to be would save them from going under, because I can't remember what games they have produced. But Runic Games was quite a well-known developer. I'm just going to Google it now. So so they basically the company ceased to exist. Oh yeah, they produced the Torchlight series. That was it. Yeah, which is funny as well because Torchlight 2 is also getting a port by Panic Button. So it looks like whoever the what were they called? Yeah, the Perfect World, was it? Perfect World Entertainment. Hang on. Yeah, Perfect World Entertainment. It looks like that's the parent company of Runic Games. What I'm reading here. So it looks like they've given Panic Button the rights to port the game over, update it a little bit, make it more for the Switch, to I guess give it give Switch owners a reason to buy it on the Switch, because you could probably get a very similar version of the game on PlayStation right now for a lot cheaper. But yeah, it's really cool because I think it's if I remember correctly, it was like a mix of Zelda and Dark Souls, the game, with some cool puzzles and combat mechanics. And it was one of the games I think I originally wrote way back in the day that I wish would be ported to the Switch, and then the Runic Games ceased to exist. They got disbanded or they went bankrupt. I can't really remember, but yeah, they basically ceased to exist now. So I was like, yeah, the game's never going to be brought to the Switch, but it seems like Perfect World Entertainment are trying to reinvigorate some of their IP and have given it to a really great developer and porter of the Nintendo Switch to do it. So I'm really looking forward to playing Hob. And let's get on with the next story. So the next story is number 4. Graveyard Keeper is coming to the Switch. So announced in a very spooky way at PAX East, indie publishers Tiny Build have confirmed that Lazy Bear Games' Graveyard Management Sim is coming to the Nintendo Switch. Tiny Build did this by having players and fans of the game lie down in an open coffin and play the game in handheld mode. A cool way to do an announcement, if not also a little weird. There's no news for a release date though. So yeah, Tiny Builds, they're kind of like every big indie publisher. They seem to be trying to get as many of their games as they can on the Switch, which is really cool to see. Graveyard Keeper is one of one of their top tier games. It's made by Lazy Bear. I think they made Punch Club, which was an okay game. I enjoyed it, but it got really grindy towards the end. But no, it's really, really cool that they're bringing Graveyard Keeper to the Switch. If you don't know what it is, you basically play as this Graveyard Keeper who manages a graveyard, but to make more money, you can cause like accidents to happen, or you can poison water to kill people, and then you have bodies to put in your graveyard, which earns you more money. And then it's like, okay, if your graveyard is running out of space, and you can dig up the bodies, dump them in the river, and then you have space for more people to bury. So like it's a kind of cool novel management sim. Really nice pixel art as well, like a lot of humor to it, and like kind of like all Tidy Builds games, they have like this dark humor, which I really like. And a very strange way to announce it, but you have to line a coffin to play it at PAX, but still kind of, you know, it's getting headlines, so I guess that's why they decided to do it. So that's just the 4 main stories. We do have some news tidbits. Both of them are about, I got 3 of them, but 2 of them are about new DLC. The first one is that Enter the Gungeon is getting its final piece of free DLC. A Farewell to Arms DLC will be the end of development on the game and will add new Gungeoneers, new guns and items, a new secret floor and bosses, and rainbow mode, and more. The update is coming very soon on April 5th, which is next week. And yeah, it's free, which is really cool because I actually bought Enter the Gungeon last week after talking to Darth about the game on, I think it was on this podcast. Yeah, I guess he was on this podcast. So yeah, it was on this podcast. Yeah, kind of got an itch for it. The game was on sale, like it was 15% off, which isn't like the highest, the most reduced I've ever seen it. But I was like, okay, I want to play it, and yeah, cool, it's on sale, why not? And yeah, that game is just so good. Like I used to play it when it very first came to PlayStation 4, like 4 years ago. I used to play it quite a lot. I think the furthest I ever got was to the 3rd level boss and could never beat the tank. But yeah, and then I played it on the Switch, and I probably played like 10 runs, and I think I've got to the 4th level boss in one of those runs. So yeah, so I'm kind of happy that I picked it up now, because with the DLC coming, it's going to be cool to get the free update and to kind of, you know, I'm really enthusiastic about playing the game. So I'm like, it's like the perfect time to get into this update and explore it and get the new weapons and stuff, and grow my own arsenal of guns in the game as well. So yeah, Enter the Gungeon. I imagine if it's not still on sale now, like when they put this DLC out on the 5th, I imagine it'll get quite a heavy sale then, because I think they did it last time with was it Gungeon and Dragon update? I think it was on sale for like 50% off. So yeah, if you're looking to get Enter the Gungeon, I think maybe wait till the 5th of April and see if it goes on sale, because yeah, it might be a big reduction on it. So the next little tidbit is that Overcooked 2 is getting more DLC. The DLC is called the Campfire Cook-Off, and it will cost $5.99, and it will include a new map, 12 new levels, new chefs and recipes, as well as new game mechanics to make you scream at your partners even more. The DLC will also be out relatively soon on April 18th. So yeah, if you are a big Overcooked 2 fan and you're looking for more content to play, you can pick it up relatively cheaply. I think for $6, that's not bad at all for such a high quality game, and you know that the DLC is going to be good, because yeah, the developers always do such a fantastic job with Overcooked. So yeah, if you are interested in more Overcooked, now is your chance to get into the game a bit more. And the final story is kind of a little bit of something I kind of did just out of interest on Twitter. I was doing some of my own research regarding the possibility of a Switch Pro coming to the market. I asked my Twitter followers, which is at Switch Indie Fix, by the way, if you want to go and follow me there. If the rumors are true, what would you want most from a Nintendo Switch Pro? The options I gave were a bigger screen, bigger battery, bigger storage, or bigger hard drive, I think, or other. And with 37% of the 116 votes, bigger battery came out as the highest request for a Switch Pro, which I think is quite surprising, because I've never ever had issues with the battery. But then again, I mostly just play indie games, so they're not the most demanding on the Switch's battery and hardware. Personally, I would like to see a bigger screen, and that would be my biggest wish from a Switch Pro. Other than that, like maybe some bigger internal storage, but I already have an SD card, so that doesn't really bother me either. But yeah, if it had like a nicer screen, maybe it had more of like a retina display on the screen, so the colors popped even more than they already do, that would definitely be like a big selling point for me to buy a Switch Pro. And then obviously if it runs better than this Switch, and it can do maybe 1080 on the screen instead of 720, that would also be a big seller. But yeah, I'm just interested to see what you guys think, and what your most wanted wishes for a Switch Pro or even a Switch Mini. Let me know what you want the Switch Mini to be. And if you do have any ideas or you do have any wishes, make sure you hit me up on Twitter at SwitchIndieFix, or come and join the Switch IndieFix Discord at switchindiefix.com/Discord. Okay, guys, so section 2, as always, is the conversation portion of the podcast. And this week, I'm going to be talking a little bit about what I've been playing this week. I've already said I've been playing a lot of Enter the Gungeon, which has been really fun. I've also been playing one other game that I'm going to talk about in this section. But what I really wanted to kind of discuss or tell you guys about is the best indie games coming to the Switch in April. So, because of the Nindie Showcase, I feel like there's been like an influx of like awesome indie games that we know about now come in, especially in April. There is on my list, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there could be a 7th one, but I left it off because some people don't see it as being indie. But so I thought I'd kind of talk to you about that, give you a heads up of what maybe you should be looking out for over the next month. Maybe, if you've got some credits saved up on your Switch and you're kind of anxious about what you should buy, like I hope this kind of helps you out, letting you know what big games are coming up in April. So the first game that comes out on April 10th is called Cook Serve Delicious 2. Developer is called Vertigo Gaming, and the price of the game is going to be $12.99. And this is actually the game I've been playing. And if you don't know what it is, it's kind of like a spiritual successor to Cooking Mama. So you basically in the first game you play as a chef, and you work in all these restaurants, and you basically build up your own restaurant to be the best restaurant in the world. In the start of this game, your restaurant gets this. The building your restaurant gets like what's the word? Everyone gets thrown out of it, evicted, I should say. And so you're basically set back to the bottom. You buy a new restaurant, but you have no money to build it. So you have to work in other kitchens to kind of earn money, learn new recipes, and build it up. And the gameplay is you are a chef in a kitchen. Orders come in on the left hand side. So for example, like a burger, and it's all kind of like almost like a rhythm game mixed with like a puzzler mixed with a management sim. So you are like, okay, for a burger, it's like, okay, you have to cook so many patties that you can keep on like a hot plate for the future. So first you cook the patties, and then an order for a burger will come in, and it says, okay, you need in these 3 patties, 1 slice of cheese, one piece of lettuce, 1 tomato, and then it needs a certain bread topping. So you've got to really quickly make the burger without trying to make any mistakes, make it perfectly, and send the order out. You basically get like a combo meter. So every time you do a perfect order, the combo meter grows. You get higher tips from it and more experience. And obviously, like you're working through the day. So in the morning, it's quite easy. It's like slow. It gives you time to prepare. And then around lunchtime and dinner time, it is rush hour. So then it's like really chaotic. Like orders are coming in. You also have these things called chores. So it's like, maybe you have to go to the toilet, and it simulates that. So you flush the toilet, sanitize your hands. There's ones where you have to take out the trash. There's ones where you have to empty like a fly killing like machine kind of thing. So it's all about like balancing your time, balancing your priorities, what you want to get out first. It's all about being like completely perfect, like making sure your orders. And the one problem I've had with it is basically because it's mapped to a controller, there aren't enough buttons for the game, I don't feel like. So what you have to do is you hold the triggers down, and it brings up like a second menu of buttons with of orders with the same buttons. But what tends to happen is that sometimes if you don't hold the trigger down properly, or you're just thinking so fast, you end up pressing the wrong thing and sending out an order that's incorrect. And it's kind of one of those games where it's like easy to learn but difficult to master. So you can get through a day easy. You can make however many mistakes. Like I feel like there's no fail status. It's like, okay, just do it, get to the end of the day, and you can you have like this overall level, which is your like chef level. You need to get it to 5 stars, and it's like, okay, the more experience you get, the quicker this chef level grows. So obviously the better you are, the quicker it grows, and the more restaurants you can work at, the more recipes you can buy. But there's no like if you make a total mess up of your day, that it's not going to stop the game and be like, okay, you have to start again. It's just kind of goes to the end, and you probably have to play the level again anyway, because you haven't got enough XP to progress. But there are also medals. So like the first medal is bronze, where you have to have less than 8 bad orders or average order. No, bad orders, I think. The second is a silver medal, where you have to have less than 5 bad or average orders. And the final one is a gold, and that is you have a perfect day, so you make no bad or average orders. And so far, I've been able to get silver pretty consistently, but the gold one is just really hard. Like it's like I said, it's like a game that's easy to learn but difficult to master, and even like the very first levels where you're not really doing that much. It's much like you put like ketchup on a hot dog or whatever. Even those ones, it's hard to get a perfect game. But what I love about it is I think the art style is great. Like it kind of reminds me of like watching Dragon Ball Z as a kid, because I always remember as a kid like the food in Dragon Ball Z used to look so amazingly tasty for some reason, and I obviously knew it wasn't real, but I was like, oh my god, I wish I could eat this food. And this is what it's like with Cook Serve Delicious. Like the food looks amazing. It looks tastier than real food does. Like it's like the perfect example of a beef burger or a pretzel or whatever. It's really addictive. It's really like, okay, right, I can see what I did wrong there. I need to improve. And it's kind of a mixture of like, okay, you have to, it's about like, you have the skill of actually pressing the right buttons, but it's also like learning, okay, where are the ingredients mapped to which buttons. And it's kind of like, that's why I said it's a bit like a music game. Like you get into like a rhythm, and it's like, okay, you read the order and you know exactly where everything is, and you just do it without thinking. You just like bang, bang, bang. Okay, send it. Next order, bang, bang, bang. Send it. Okay, quick. I need to go wash my hands. Okay, next order, bang, bang, bang. And then all of a sudden, it's the end of the day, and you get to see your skills. And so if you're into like these kind of cooking games or like even like rhythm games, like I highly suggest it. It has apparently over 60 plus hours of gameplay, over 400 levels to play through, and you can take your restaurant from a roach-infested eatery to a world-class restaurant. So that is Cook Serve Delicious 2. So far, I highly recommend it. The next game that comes out in April, or the next big indie game that I've noted that comes out in April, is Mine Time in Portia, which comes out on April 16th. The developer I call Pathia Games, but it's published by Team 17 Digital. The price is $29.99. My Time in Portia, it kind of reminds me of like a 3D Stardew Valley. So if you're into those type of farming simulator, like kind of life simulators, I think you'll like My Time in Portia. Here's like a quick synopsis from Nintendo. So it says you have to restore your pa's neglected workshop to its former glory by fulfilling commissions, growing crops, raising animals, and befriending the quirky inhabitants of this charming post-apocalyptic land. One thing I noticed is like I feel like the scenery looks a bit empty, but there are like a lot of NPCs that inhabit the world, which I think is really cool, and you can like chat with them, trade with them, play games with them. So I think if you're into these sort of chilled out games, My Time at Portia should be on your radar. The next game, and probably the biggest indie game coming out this April, is Cuphead, which comes out on April 18th. It's developed by Studio MDHR, published by Microsoft, and the price is $19.99. So there was rumors, and then there was even more rumors, but still no news. But then, finally, during the Indie Showcase, Cuphead was announced. But it was announced that Cuphead is coming to Switch, because Nintendo and Microsoft have this buddy relationship right now. If you don't know Cuphead, then I don't know. I guess everyone knows Cuphead. If you're listening to an indie game podcast, then you must know what Cuphead is. But for anyone that doesn't, it's basically a like 2D run and gun side scroller. Very, very difficult. It has influences from games like Mega Man, and it also has like this unique hand-drawn, hand-animated artwork that is heavily inspired by cartoons from the 1930s. A really awesome game. I've never played it, so I'm excited that it's coming to Switch. Again, this was another game that way back in the day when I first started the website, like I think probably in the same post as the Hob one, I wrote that I really wanted to come to the Switch, and again, it was kind of like another one of those ones where I was like, it's probably never going to happen, but it did happen. It's really, really awesome. So very excited for Cuphead to come to the Nintendo Switch on April 18th. Also, another awesome game that we saw during an indie showcase coming out the same day is called Katana Zero, developed by Akisoft and published by Devolver Digital. The price of the game is going to be $14.99. Katana Zero has you playing as a ninja assassin. You're able to like slow down time, deflect bullets, and leave no target alive in this stylish neo-noir action platformer. What I thought most interesting about Katana Zero in an indie showcase was the video's ending. The gameplay did look really cool, but it kind of reminded me of My Name is Pedro, with this like, kind of going in, wrecking people, slowing down time. But yeah, what really got me intrigued was the ending where the assassin has to, after completing his bounty, he has to go and talk to his psychologist and receive his medicine. So I don't know, like it was kind of like a weird thing to end on, but I guess it kind of hints at what is probably going to be like a big mechanic in the game. Like maybe the medicine gives you this ability to slow down time or whatever. I don't know, maybe you can make it harder by not taking your medicine and you can't slow down time because if you get hit once, you die. So that was really, really unusual, an unusual thing to end a kind of, trailer on. But definitely got me interested. And I know a lot of people in the Switch Indie Fix community are really excited to play it, so I'm excited to maybe play it alongside people and kind of unravel these mysteries. Another massive indie game coming out in this April is SteamWorld Quest Hand of Gilamek, which comes out on April 25th. So Image and Form Games are developing it, and the publishers are Thunderful Publishing, I think it's called. The price of the game is going to be $24.99. And yeah, honestly, when I first saw SteamWorld Quest, I had like a kind of a lukewarm response to it. I really didn't like the idea of the card collecting gameplay because it had me anxious that, okay, yeah, it's a card collector. That means there's going to be microtransactions and like or a lot of grinding to get good cards. However, I probably should have known better because Image and Form have been completely open when talking about the game and showing the game off. They confirmed that there are no microtransactions in SteamWorld Quest. So the more and more I see of this game now, the more and more I just really, really want it. I think it's a game I'm definitely going to be, if I can't get a code for it, then it's definitely going to be a game I'm playing on April 25th. I hope to get Cook Serve Delicious out of the way. I should have it finished not finished, but I should have the review ready by then. And then be ready for April 25th because I can't wait to play SteamWorld Quest. It's a great game. It's a great series. If you don't know, SteamWorld Dig 2 is one of the only one of two games I've ever given a perfect score to on Switch Indie Fix. I do really love these games. SteamWorld Dig 2. It ticks so many boxes for me, like in what Metroidvanias don't do. Like I love that they added in these like puzzle these like puzzle caves, kind of like the shrines from what's it called, Breath of the Wild, which I thought was really awesome. Like these really like compact, well-designed puzzles that you could just use to upgrade your character or get resources to upgrade your character. Really, really cool. So I can't wait to jump into like a medieval aspect. I do generally like card-based games. Like I really want to play Slay the Spire when that comes to the Switch. And I was like into Hearthstone and what other games did I used to play with cards? I can't remember. But yeah, I do like card-based games. I like the collecting aspect, but I find it so much better when you don't have to pay loads of money for these like electronic cards. So SteamWorld Dig Quest, SteamWorld Quest I should say. I can't wait for April 25th. And the last game I'm going to mention today is one that I feel like people are maybe forgetting about is Super Meat Boy Forever, developed by Team Meat. We don't actually have a solid release date for the game. They said during the Kind of Funny Games showcase that it's coming in April 2019. So if it's coming sometime this month. So if you don't know what Super Meat Boy Forever is, it's basically the sequel to the frustrating pixel-perfect platformer Super Meat Boy. But this time around, though, Dr. Fetus has kidnapped Meat Boy and Bandage Girl's child. They basically have changed it up. Like, it looks very similar. It's like a more modernized art style, I'd say, which I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence of whether I like it or not. Like, it seems a bit like overly cartoony. Like Super Meat Boy was also very cartoony, but I felt like it had like this grittiness to it, and I don't think Edmund McMillan did the art for it this time round. I think he's kind of left working with Team Meat to do his own thing, and I think you can kind of see that in the art style. Plus, it's also now like an endless runner, and it also has a combat like combo mechanic to help you platform. So, you know, it might be that there's like 3 enemies in the air, and as you run, you have to like press a button at the right time to bounce from enemy to enemy to get across to different ledges. So if you're a Super Meat Boy fan or I don't know, a Team Meat fan, I should say, don't forget about Super Meat Boy Forever coming out this month on the Nintendo Switch. And yeah, that's basically the roundup of the best looking games to me coming out this month. I actually wrote a blog post about it, so if you want to check it out, you can go to switchindifix.com, and it's one of like the higher like latest posts. You can go and look. I also put Box Boy and Box Girl on there. But yeah, it's such a debate whether the game is indie or not. Like, I guess technically it's not, but HAL Laboratory are like independently owned, so I don't know. But that game also comes out on the 26th of April. So if you're looking for a cute little platformer to play with a friend, then also keep an eye out for Box Boy and Box Girl. And yeah, guys, that was everything I wanted to talk about in the conversation portion. Just a reminder that this podcast is brought to you by switchindifix.com/Discord. If you want to join the conversation and talk about all things indie on the Nintendo Switch, come over and join the Switch Indifix Discord at switchindifix.com/Discord. And as always, guys, our final section this week, I should say, are the question section. We had a lot of questions asked this week, so thank you very much to everyone that either sent me some questions on Discord or through the Google form, just like Bastian did. And Bastian asked, what do you think of the Apple Arcade and Google Stadia, and how do you think it will impact the indie scene at large? This is a big question, a very good question, because during GDC, there was these big announcements that are kind of with the Google Stadia and Apple Arcade that are kind of like shaking up the industry a little bit. I'm going to start with Apple Arcade. So if you don't know what it is, and I don't fully know what it is, to be honest, like from what I've seen, it seems to be like a collection of indie games for iOS, for the App Store, that you pay a subscription to play the indie games, which I think is a cool idea. But when you look at like mobile gamers, I feel like a majority of them are very like casual gamers, and they're used to getting their games on mobile for free. So I don't know like how many of because the thing with like mobile gaming is, and I don't want to sound like it a very like, you know, nose in the air, oh yeah, it's not real gaming, because it is. Like, there are great mobile games, like really great ones. Like, you can see on the Switch, there's been so many mobile games that have been ported to the Switch. I just prefer to play my games on a console than on my phone. But yeah, like usually mobile games, they're put out for free. Like, it's this race to the bottom kind of marketplace there, where if you do put a game out and put a price tag on it, like, I guess only the hardcore gamers are going to pay for the games, because most of these, like, you know, they said there's like 2 billion gamers worldwide or something, are people playing free games on their phone, which is fine. But yeah, I guess what they're hoping is that out of that 2 billion amount, you know, like if a million people or 2 million people or however many they think pay for this subscription service, that they're going to make a lot of money off it. But I don't know. I just think it's a strange like idea to do it on mobile, because like I said, most people are usually getting their games free on the mobile. Like, I feel like some of these games that they showed during their Apple Arcade, like, even though they do look really cool and they look really well produced, and personally I don't think they should be putting them on up for sale for nothing. But like, most of them I think would have been put on the App Store for free anyway. So it's like, okay, well, I don't know, are you going to pay like, I don't know, what is it, like $10 a month to play these games? And yeah, I guess they're like exclusive to the Apple Store, but I think that exclusivity is more like, you know, that they're not going to turn up on Android, because I can't see the devs wanting their games locked to just mobile, because, you know, like games like Oceanhorn 2, like, even though it was like a really successful mobile game, it's also like a really successful PS Vita game, and also a really successful PlayStation Switch game. So I hope at least that these games aren't going to be locked there, because, like, for me personally, I prefer playing stuff on my Switch or on my PlayStation. So I would rather wait, even if it takes like a year or two to play some of these games, than pay for like a subscription service on my phone. Google Stadia, however, like I personally think it's like the future. It just depends on how fast your internet is. But in theory, like, you know, if it's a perfect world, like it's an amazing idea that you can just open a Google browser, a Chrome browser, and basically play any AAA game, and in theory play it at 4K, which is amazing. And like they seem to believe in it, like they future-proofed it. And the way I think it's gonna impact indies is, I think Google are gonna approach indie devs with like a heavy hand and be like, look, here's a ton of money, come develop stuff for us, come and make like technical marvels to show other indie devs, okay, cool, look what the technology can do here. Because compared to other gaming platforms and consoles, like the Stadia seems to be like leaps and bounds ahead, like especially of consoles and like PCs. I guess, you know, it's like having 2 or 3 high-end PCs running your game all at once if you want it to, and you can like spec it up or spec it down depending on what your game needs. So I think I think they're gonna get some big indies to come and develop for them, make like these technical marvels and be like, look what you can do. Then it's gonna, I think, make other indie devs be like, okay, well, we want to make this creative game, but we've always been kind of stuck by the technology, and now there's no brace there. So then I think what you're gonna see is, like, you know, this wave of ports coming over, and then eventually indie devs making their own games for Stadia, which I still think it's cool. Like, maybe it'll take some away from the Switch, but I guess it all depends on like how successful Stadia is, because unfortunately we don't live in a perfect world. And even though I believe I have like decent internet here in Vienna, I don't think it's good enough to run Stadia at 4K. So yeah, we'll see how that kind of plays out. But yeah, I think it's going to be a huge impact on the video game market, on the indie market, the AAA especially. But yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. So the next couple of questions come from Dr. Fact, and he asks, what do you think makes a good indie game? So I kind of was thinking about it, and I kind of came down, for me, like, I believe like a good indie game always has like a lot of character to it. So like it could be like visually, which is usually what the first thing that catches my eye is when a game looks different and looks unique. I'm like, okay, I'm more interested. What's it about? Or it could be through mechanics. So, you know, I think the messenger is an example, which I'm going to talk about a bit later as well. Is that visually, I don't think it looks that good. Like, I don't like that kind of style of 8-bit art or 16-bit art. But I know like the mechanics of the ninja, the combat, and like the fact that it switches between 16 and 18-bit is like very unique and very different, and it kind of, like I say, I think indie games are kind of like an extension of the developers that make them, especially more so than AAA. Like, I feel like AAA games, though they are very creative and they're very like forward thinking, sometimes I feel like they do fit into a category of like kind of what we're seeing with Division 2, where the game is obviously a very political based game. You know, it's about like a civil war happening in Washington DC, and about the government trying to win back the capital of America. But then the devs kind of come out and say, well, no, the game isn't political at all, it's just a work of fiction. And you kind of think, well, yeah, you know, like, it's fine saying that because you don't want to cause a conflict, but I still think like it's your art, and you should kind of stick up for your art and what you believe in, because otherwise what's the point in making it? And I always feel like, yeah, it's cool with indie devs because you get to see like there's no real constraints on them. Like I feel like indie games, or good indie games, are like a vision that some developers had, and they've like, you know, put in the work, put in the money, seen it through and come to fruition. And like the good indie games are you know, like Shovel Knight, or like The Messenger, or like what's it called, Hollow Knight, or Hyper Light Drifter. Like they're someone's vision that they've not changed for anything. I feel like they've just kind of like, this is what I want to make, I'm making it how I like it. In some cases the genre might not be the most popular, but then in cases like, I feel like with Hollow Knight, like it's one of the games that made Metroidvania so popular again. So yeah, it's kind of I just feel like, yeah, good indie games are extensions of indie devs and of creative people, which is why, like, sometimes I don't mind paying, you know, like $15 for a game that might only last 2 hours. So, like, an example of that is Old Man's Journey. Like, you can tell, like, the developers, like Broken Rules, they wanted to tell a story. They wanted it to be like a piece of art, like literally like a moving piece of art. Like, it almost looks like a watercolor picture that moves across the screen. And yeah, some people might say, well, that's too much money for 2 hours of content, but I feel like that was their vision. That's what they wanted this game to be, and it's like a piece, like I say, a piece of art. So I don't mind paying like $15 for 2 hours when, you know, you might be able to pay $15 for another game that lasts you 30 hours. But yeah. So yeah, and then Dr. Fact kind of follows up with where does he write? And he says, when you see a game for the first time, do you get an inkling that it's not for you, it's for you or not? And if so, what games have had this effect? So yeah, I definitely do. And I think it's important that, like, people know that you don't have to play like every game that comes out. And I know it's hard, like, because I feel like gamers, they want to be part of the discourse, they want to talk about the latest games, but especially, I don't know, when you get older, you have less time, so you want to spend your time, especially playing video games, you want to make it like as efficient as possible, and you want to enjoy what you enjoy. And there's like nothing worse for me than buying a game. Kind of like an example was Anthem, where I was kind of on the fence with it. I was like, I don't know if I should get it. I don't know if I like it. Like, I love that type of gameplay, like looting shooters, but there was so much like drama and news around it that I was like, oh yeah, you know, it's a gamble to get it. And then picked it up, played it for a few hours, and was like, oh yeah, this is okay, but it's very hollow, very like shallow. And then deleted it off my PlayStation. And I was like, okay, that was £60 kind of wasted. But I'm like, yeah, you know, maybe in a year's time it will, it might be good, and I can go back and enjoy it then. But in terms of like indie games, like, yeah, I could say like the Messenger or Celeste. It's like I understand that those games are like both like masterpieces in their genre, but they're not really genres I like to play. So I don't like prioritize playing games just because the discourse is oh wow, Celeste is amazing. It's like I'm kind of like, yeah, I know it is. Like, I understand it is. Like, people that I listen to, reviewers that I listen to, or influencers tell me they play it, and I trust them. And I'm like, okay, good. I understand it's amazing. It's just not a game that I want to play. And it's kind of like that thing of like, well, when people say, oh yeah, but you should play it. You should play it. Like, to be honest, it just makes me more stubborn not to play games, because, like I say, it's not that I don't believe it's a good game. It's just that I'm like, I know I wouldn't enjoy it. Like, I'd enjoy playing something else more so than that. Which is kind of like, I don't know, like Cuphead. Like, I do really want to play Cuphead, but those type of games aren't my favorite genre, like my genre to play. And, you know, they're very hard. And it's like, yeah, I'm definitely going to play Cuphead. Like, I already have... and this is what I want to talk about a little bit later, is like, you know, I'm lucky to have people that write for the website. So it's like I know someone who wants to play the game, they enjoy it, they've already beaten it. I'm like, okay, well then you write the review for it, because I know that your review is definitely going to be better than my review of it, because you know, I don't usually play those types of games. I have a very low patience, and it's probably just going to make me angry. So yeah, I think it's important that you understand what you like, and you're not afraid to say like, oh well, just because my friends are playing this game, or because Twitter is talking about this game, doesn't mean you have to play it. You can just kind of appreciate the game from the sideline, which is yeah, also nice to do. And yeah, like I said, it's kind of cool as well having people writing for Switch Indie Fix, because it's always a case of, you know, like indie developers, they send you codes and you kind of think, okay, well, this isn't a game for me. I don't really have much interest in reviewing it. But now having a team of people to help, it's like, okay, well, I know this person likes this type of game, so if I ever get a code for that, it's like, well, do you want, you know, I can offer it to them. And it's great because then, you know, it's kind of like a full circle. It's like the developer gets a review, we get content for the website, and I hope that the reviewer gets a game that they enjoy playing. So yeah, that's kind of like my philosophy behind reviewing games. And the final question, and probably the most important question, comes from Danny Ward 2707, and he says in full caps, Final Fantasy VII, a day one purchase or not? And if you don't kind of get this meme, they're having I don't guess it. I wouldn't call it a competition between themselves over on the Switch Island, but they do this. I think it's every month. This event where they put out a vote for games, and it's kind of like whoever. I think each one of them puts up a game that they should play, and whichever game wins, they all have to buy it and play it together and talk about it. And usually they kind of try and do one over on each other by suggesting games that they know the other guys aren't going to like. I think last time they did it, it was Valkyria Chronicles 4, and Danny put up a very funny but soppy video of him having to buy it, which was quite enjoying to watch. But yeah, I have to say, I think Final Fantasy VII is not a day one purchase. For me personally, like Final Fantasy is not a series I was ever into as a kid. I did play Final Fantasy 15, but I wasn't a kid when I played it and really enjoyed it. And I don't know. I'm kind of in that mindset that like an old game is old, as Greg Miller would say. And I did try playing Final Fantasy a few years ago on PC, but yeah, just decided okay, again, I understand this game is great. But it is 21 years old, 22 years old now. And it doesn't have the same resonance now, I believe, as it did back then. Which is, for me, it's I can understand that when this was a PlayStation game and PlayStation was new, and you're playing it as a 6 or 7 year old, it blows your mind. But now playing it, it's an amazing story, and it's the sad twist in it of one of the characters dying. But it doesn't. I don't think it holds that resonance as it did for people that probably played it when the game was new. That's why I would definitely suggest that all of them go and vote for Ape Out, and that Ben is very, very smart by choosing that game, because that game is a fantastic game. It's new. It's I feel like pushing the medium forward, and me personally, I think that's what we should do is try and move forward, try and innovate, try and do new things. Don't just keep looking back to these old games, even though they are classics. But yeah, so definitely go and vote for Ape Out on Switch Island's Twitter. Yeah, so guys, that was episode 26 of the Switch Indie Fix podcast. I hope you enjoyed me monologuing for 45 minutes. I do like throwing in these single episodes of me just hosting by myself every now and again. It's almost like a therapy for me. I feel like to just talk about games for an hour on my own. It's nice. So thanks, like I said, for everyone for watching and tuning in, and to Bastian, Danny, and Dr. Fact for writing in with questions. If you want to write in with any questions for next week's show, make sure you go to switchindiefix.com/SIF podcast, where it will lead you to a Google form, and you just fill it in the Google form with your questions. The podcast will go up as always on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube as soon as I can after the show. So please be sure to review it where you can. And I just wanted to quickly say thank you to everyone that has been listening and downloading recently, because I don't know if it's because we've had good guests on, or I don't know, maybe we're just starting to grow a bit quicker than we were, but the podcast episodes have all been doing really, really well. Like I said, I've seen people are starting to review on the episodes, which I think definitely helps. The last episode, it's only been a week and it's already gone to our top downloaded episode ever, so that was really awesome. So I think that was down to a lot more down to Paul and Darth and me, but thanks to everyone that has downloaded, and I hope you are enjoying the podcast, because I'm really enjoying making it. I feel like we're getting into a good groove. I'm getting it weekly now, having guests on as often as I can have, and I hope you're all enjoying it. If you are enjoying it, make sure you come and hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at SwitchIndieFix. Let me know what you thought of this week's episode, what you think maybe I could improve on, or come and join the Discord server at switchindiefix.com/Discord. Come and talk to I think all of the guests that we've had on the show in the Discord server. So if you are a fan of Paul, Darth, Age of Boredom, Bastian, make sure you come and join the Switch Indie Discord and come and talk to us there. So yeah, guys, for more reviews, including our latest review of Degrees of Separation, go to switchindiefix.com. Plus, just a little heads up, if you're a Pokemon fan, be sure to check out our latest episode of the Generation 8 Pokemon podcast. Me and Ajax013, who is also from our Discord, and is one of our reviewers, talked a little bit about how we think Meltan is going to affect Generation 8, is going to affect Pokemon Sword and Shield, what we think these armored evolutions are going to be, and also what we think the legendaries might be like in the new Pokemon game. So if you're a Pokemon fan, make sure you go and check that out too. Just search for Generation 8 Pokemon podcast in your podcast browser or whatever you're using to listen to this one. So yeah. So thanks again for listening, guys. I hope you all have a great week, and we will see you next time.